Yeah, yeah. We are here. Hello, doilies.
Bag doilies.
Christina Lohman, she came up with the name doilies, which I love. But I saw somewhere on a fan site that they called themselves doilers. And I'm like, oh, I don't like doilers. I like doilies. I like doilies better, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. And that was a couple years back. So I hope if there's any fans from back then, you're not offended. We just, I don't know. I think it's so cute. We love it. All right. Hello, everyone. Rona's here and Jan's here and Christina and Chris and hi, Mary and Arlene. And we're going to talk about the last half of this. There were 13. I'm sorry. I'm yelling. I'm in my crazy teacher mode.
No, I was thinking. Never mind. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, my first day back with all the kiddos, so I'm like crazy hyper. But I was thinking that there were only 13 episodes in this. There are certain seasons that are very long, but there was so much to discuss and so much that happened in this season. I think that season 3, it starts getting like meatier and meatier and more stories are entwined. And then season 4 blows me away. I love,
Season 4 is my favorite.
I love season 4.
Although I absolutely adore moments and episodes from each season, but
Yes, of course.
season 4 really, yeah.
So these are the episodes that we're discussing. And once I say this, I know Kathy's going to take it away because it's one of her favorite episodes of all times. So we've got Mirror Mirror, and we have one Angry Jake, Live Wire, Consteal Love, and Under Pressure, right?
With an honorable mention, was it season 3? Shoot, I should have a list of these.
Okay.
Um,
Those are the last one.
2 Jakes and a baby. Where was that?
That was before the Mirror Mirror you wanted to talk
Okay.
about. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it was
that one was fabulous too.
Yeah, after High School Confidential. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Take it away.
Well, Mirror Mirror to me is like the perfect Republic of Doyle episode. It's just absolutely perfect. Um, it's got interaction with all of the characters. It's got comedy. I mean, I had to stop and rewind. I can't even tell you how many times because I kept bursting out laughing. I had to turn on the closed captioning because I was laughing so hard I couldn't hear it. But the absurdity of the 2 different versions of what had gone on, Guy showing up. I wish we had seen Guy again. Leslie and Jake's interaction, Leslie and Mal, Tinny and Des. Oh, and one of my favorites of the recurring cast is Kathleen. She is precious. I just love her acting. And she and Walter were perfect together she has this conversation with her father who has found out that she and Walter are dating. So Walter's talking to him and
He says it.
he doesn't like it. She grabs the phone and she's talking all tough. Hi, Daddy. How are you? And he's like, do you really like him? And you can tell she's like, well, yeah, I think so. And Mal tells her, well, when you break up with him, oh, he's been a friend of the family forever. When you break up with him, don't make it my problem. And she is just trying to cheese it for Walter. Walter's going, what did he say? He's thrilled. It was so hysterical. And you tell Jake, you be sure and tell Jake that you 2 are dating. And she's like, okay, bye, Daddy. He wants you to tell Jake as soon as possible that we're dating. The little moments, even did I mention Mal and Leslie had their moments. When he's retelling the story of talking to Jake, and he's telling, and then Jake's phone rang, and then blah 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 blah. She's like, what?
He talks about what a great father he is.
Yeah, I tuned that out. I've tuned Jake out for years because I can't. I'd have a migraine if I listened to him talk all the time. Oh, they were just all exaggerating their roles and the things they said. But the crown prince, the king of all of this, was Maurice Becker. Mm-hmm. Oh my word, he was. I can't even describe how funny he was, and yet he's this menacing thug.
Yes.
He's just absolutely hysterical. There was one spot where he actually hit on Leslie. And she just
I know.
And then he hit on it, and then he realized, well, this ain't happening. So he just kind of looked off in the
Yeah,
distance.
yeah, yeah.
He told Jake he was dying. It's
I
the
know.
little, oh, is it bad? No, it's the good kind of dying, you idiot. Oh my word.
Well, he won an award, you said, didn't you?
He won the Gemini Award for Best Performance by an actor for that episode back in 2013. Yeah.
And I think we've said this before, but it's also Alan Doyle, Alan Hawko said he really, there are certain people that were mentors to him in his life, and he is definitely one of them. And he was able to be on the show with them, which is so sweet.
Several times, yeah.
Yes. Lois is saying she's agreeing that it was a very funny episode. I mean, I loved it. I don't know how the rest of you felt, but also, I think you told me something about the part where did you talk about the part yet with that you loved the romantic part between Leslie and Jake?
Oh, that was at the very end.
Yeah.
I love I said how much I love Guy and Leslie talking French. Well, Jake was picking up on the fact that there was some chemistry there. So Leslie shows up at the bar all dressed up and fancy, and he goes over and goes, well, what's going on? Got a hot date? And she said to the effect of, yeah, I got a hot date with Guy. And he looks at her and goes, well, I don't think Guy is so hot. And she lets him off the hook. And she goes, I don't think he's all that. I'm not really seeing him. My sister is in town and we're going to have dinner. And then there was a little funny banter. Oh, are you and your sister close? And she goes, don't even think about it. So I don't know if he was talking about hitting on the sister or what. But then she says something to him in French, and they show the closed caption that what she's saying is, you're my man. And then she stands up and walks away. And he's like, I don't speak French. What did you say? And she doesn't say a word. She just gets this little cat that ate the canary look and walks on off. And when she's out of range, she goes in French, perfect French. And you're the only one for me. And I just thought that was so romantic because he had heard everything and understood everything, but she didn't know it. Oh, that was so fabulous.
Well, you made a discovery about two women. You said they were twin sisters, and they did a podcast or something, and they said the most romantic.
Just coincidentally, I was Googling something, and I came across their blog post, and they were talking about romantic moments in different TV shows, and that's the segment that they picked. That end of that episode of Mirror Mirror. Gordon Pensett is just fantastic.
I know. That's what Lois is saying. He is much beloved in Canada, and he died about a year or two ago, or at least. And
it's been fairly recently.
Yes, and it was so sweet what Kristen Pellerin put up on her Instagram account. She had it's a clip of them dancing, and she was saying how wonderful it was to have him on, and the ladies just loved him.
I read something where it said when he was on set, the ladies were just like,
yes,
nobody else existed, that they all just adored him.
I know. And Jan's saying that she says that I can't point to an episode that I don't love. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the episodes where she hurts him. And not that there's anything, they're wonderful episodes. It's just like, oh, that's just too much. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah.
Mary says that the ending in French is just
Yep.
Arlene says Leslie's eyes when she spoke French to Jake got me. Jake's eyes get me in another episode. Like when you watch them have that serious conversation, I'm like, oh, it's so good. But we'll get to that. It's another one coming up.
There's when she's interrogating both of them, and Karen comes up, and Maurice is like, yeah, she and Jake had a little tete-a-tete back in Quebec. If you watch, Leslie gets like, really? I mean, she didn't say anything, but she looked ticked off, and she gives Jake the eye.
Yes. And he's like, well, you know.
He's trying to look in. Oh, my gosh. When his version of when Karen chloroformed him, just as he's about to hit the ground, he grabs her boob and then pants out. Who writes this stuff?
I don't know. It's
my word.
Who did write that episode? I know.
Well, I meant to look the last time I watched it because I wanted to see if, who did write it. It was.
I do know that, of course, Perry is the, showrunner type, but I don't know exactly who wrote that particular episode. Before we moved on to One Angry Jake, did you want to talk about, you said you wanted to mention a little bit about Two Jakes and a Baby? I love how they did the name.
Um, I enjoyed that so much because it had tons of humor, and it showed Jake's tender side. And it showed the whole family how welcoming they are.
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately. Oh, that's Jake. And at one point, Mal shows a picture of the baby and he goes, and she looks just like you, and shows this picture of the baby with the mouth looking totally goofy. So I really enjoy, and that's another ending, killer ending, where and it's a throwaway, like
The line. Yeah.
the line. As she's walking out the door, Leslie tells Jake, and don't go knocking anybody else up yet. I'm like, oh my gosh, these two were on such a slow burn.
I know. He was in an interview, Alan Hawko, and someone repeated it and he goes, no, that's not how the line goes. And he repeated, well, he didn't say no. He said the line goes like, and then he repeated how it was supposed to be. And I was like, yeah, who thought up that? Who said that was going to happen at that moment? Was it them? I want to know if they ever, we have to have them on. I want to know if they ever like ad lib or put I definitely know Alan puts stuff in it, but I don't know. It's just their chemistry is electric, all of them together. And I felt that this season was definitely about family, all of them together, because Catherine is back.
Kathleen.
Pardon me?
Kathleen,
I'm sorry. Kathleen is back. Des, we find out about Dez's dad, but we definitely know that Des is part of that family, and Dez's dad's like grateful that his son is with them. Yes.
And then you had characters interacting in scenes that you typically don't see in the same episode, much less the same scene. And I'm thinking about Des and Walter, and Des is like, oh, I'm picking out clothes for a stakeout. Yeah. So nobody else see me. And Walter immediately knows, hey, if you're trying to get a girl, dude, here's what you need to do.
Yeah. You got to grab it while you can.
Yeah, I love. Des saying, I don't need that. I've captured many a girl, and Walter's like, wait, you mean illegally? It's just the writing was just on point for every single character. I love Walter. I
know. Now, how about Walter when he was going back a little bit to the one where he starts dating with Two Jakes and a Baby? He starts dating Kathleen, and he's talking to the father, and he's like, oh, yeah, we're dating. The father
no, he actually said something like she's
the sex.
Yeah, the sex is great. And Mel just looks at him and he's like, made a mistake there.
I know, but Mel just looks. I love when there's people talking, he just sits there and he looks and he's like, idiot, like, or something, he has like one word. It's so great. Jan saying, well, Kathy, I'll give you that. I guess because I've watched the series twice now, I know how things end up. So you part where you said you love it except for when
yeah. I know how it ends up too, but I just don't like to see Jake hurt, and he kept getting hurt. And it's like, why do these women keep failing to mention they have husbands? Because that was the theme for both Allison and Leslie. It's like, I know this is kind of important information to share. By the way,
I know, right?
About this long lost husband.
Okay, so now, what is it? One Angry Jake. So we stuck in the courthouse, right? Oh my God, the things that went on in the courthouse.
Is that the one with the another good actor, Luis Gutierrez? Was he the one hostage?
This is the one where he's on a jury.
Oh my gosh!
He has to
one angry, two angry.
Prove that she's innocent, right? Well, he doesn't have to, but he kind of gets roped into it. Well, one of the things I love is the stupid guy who's in charge of the whole thing, and Jake is sitting and hiding in the judge's chamber, and the guy's like, oh yeah, and he's dancing, and he's so creepy, wants to unbuckle his pants, and then all that goes down. But the other thing that I really, really loved about that episode was all of the one-liners that everyone had, even the judge, which we later found out that the judge is
Ta-da!
Tinny's real dad.
Yeah,
This
in
is
real life.
amazing. How
Yeah.
many of you knew that? Where are my people from back in the day?
The actor's name is Andy Jones, and
Yes,
he is Martha's real dad.
yes. How many of you know that? How many anybody here already know that? Oh, and Lois, you are right. Alan does have some gorgeous eyes.
Oh yeah, they're
Oh,
not even, they're beyond blue. They're almost teal.
hi, Christina. I know you're here. Hi. I know, definitely. And then somebody said up here before we move on, which I like, I started. Um, this is Lois. In the time that the show was on air, the fans were team awesome. Okay. All right. I'm okay with it.
You know, another fabulous thing, we kept getting hints during the season. You know, I think they started out the season with Leslie being totally ticked off at him because he got her fired. But then slowly, as the season went on, it's like, girl, you just don't know. You're still so into him. And this was one of those episodes. And even Hood knew, because she gets to the crime scene and Hood is like, okay, I need to talk to you. And she's like, well, what's going on? No, you better sit down. And she's like, what's going on? And he shows her the wallet that apparently has Jake's ID, and she nearly staggers. She was so upset. So it's like, yeah, you're over him, Jake.
I know. Everyone knew. Everyone knew. Everyone knew. Now, I like how the family bands together again and helps out. Before I go there, Jan says Jake keeps getting hurt. I don't understand how he even had a brain because of the number of times he's been hit in the head. I know.
Yeah,
And that,
I talk about that. I think about that sometimes.
my
That
dad
poor thing
did
is going to have a concussion when he's, 50.
I
He's
know.
going to get that stuff that the football players get from being hit too much.
True. Or a boxer, right?
Hmm.
I'm looking at Jan saying, wow, she didn't realize it. I guess Lois did know it. Lois knows a lot about the show. She's a true big fan. Mary didn't know. Arlene didn't know it. Actually, I didn't know it. It was Kathy. You found it out and then shared it with me. And then we had to go look. And it was funny because when we first looked, we were like, oh, it didn't look like him. But the current picture we were looking at, he didn't really have facial hair.
Yeah.
And then later we saw others were like, it's him. It's definitely him. Christine says, Chris says, Jake plays a jury member so well. He seems to be the only member that is constantly leaving the jury when he's allowed to go because he has an allergy.
Comes and goes. Yeah.
Stupid Des brings some pills for if you're having like diarrhea or bowel problems.
Wasn't it a spastic colon or something?
Yeah, and he's got to pretend he's in there going, oh, and the judge is like, what are you doing in here? Oh my God. Those bathroom scenes cracked me up. And then the girl kidnaps him, and in the end, everything comes out right.
I love knowing now watching the scenes in that courtroom, knowing what we later know about Judge Tizard. Is it Tizard or Izzard? It's Tizard, I think.
Tizard, yes.
Yeah, knowing and just watching him in action, it's like, yeah, there were clues all along. That guy was different. And the one with the TV show, the foreman of the jury, who was trying to rig the
I know, yeah, that's the one
verdict so he could get his so he could get that TV show.
I know, but he was doing the sexy dance with the girl.
Oh yeah, with his pants off. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
He was, and I love. There was something when Jake was explaining what went on. The defendant looks at the foreman, and he looks at her, and it's like, do you two know each other? Because the looks were just like, what did you do? I'm sorry. It was great.
Yeah. Jan's saying, yeah, I've been on several juries and really nothing like that would ever happen.
But wouldn't I be more willing to serve jury duty if more stuff like that did happen?
It'd be in the paper. Oh God, it would be so great. I would love it. Now, when it came to Live Wire, I liked it and enjoyed it so much because we finally got to see the real, like Dez's real dad, and see the relationship between them. And didn't that actor do a great job?
Oh my gosh. Was that really? I mean, yeah. You could believe I could spot him as Dez's father.
Yes.
Across the room.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh. And it was touching too, because he gets so worried that he's not good enough, Des. You know what I mean? But he knows that he's a Doyle. And I love how everybody always refers to him all over town as a Doyle. Oh, yeah, he's one of them. He might as well, he is one.
I,
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I'm stepping on
No,
you. Finish your
no,
thought.
no, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love the fact that, what was his name? Jody.
Yes.
Jody was talking to Jake, and he's like, so what is Des really like? I don't know. And he goes, well, I don't know. He said, well, you're all he talks about. Des really did idolize Jake. He really did.
He did. And he's like, it was cute that like it meant something to Jake, even though he can be hard, but his father's hard to him. So he's hard to Des. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that he's hard. They're harsh with each other.
No.
And Jake tells him, I think he told him he used to say it at the very beginning of the series, and he said it at the end, your contempt for other people is exceeded only by your tightness with a dollar.
I know.
But Mal would walk through hell for that kid. He said it various times, he's my best friend.
Yeah.
He's my boy, and I can't do a thing for him. But he just expresses it like in a really harsh way. There was one point they were in the car, and he was actually telling Jake, the most trouble you get in is because you're trying to help people.
Yes.
You're a good man, and you're a good son, and I love you. And Jake's like, okay, do we kiss now? Because
I love it.
I love their relationship almost as much as I love Jake and Leslie. And I frankly think that the Jake and Mal relationship was the real underpinning of the series. That was the Republic of Doyle. This relationship that they had.
And then because of them, the people that they're surrounded by were brought in. And that's very true. Rona says, I kept thinking that Jury Duty was a lot different in Canada than here. I don't really think it's like that in Canada either. What do you think?
I think they maybe took a few liberties.
Sure.
Like somebody's going to come in the middle of a trial just before the verdict is out. Wait, we've got new evidence. It's like, yeah, get out of here. What are you talking about?
Also, how could you be in the middle of a jury and they're fixing something inside the courthouse?
And then they put bugs in the jury room. Like, no, is nobody checking this stuff?
I know. So they took liberties, but it was like a poo-poo show. Okay. Yeah. Like the poo-poo show version of it. Now, here's something that I really enjoy is that Kathleen and Rose have all these scenes together, like they got a little bonding going on, and they are two tough ladies. Like these two crack me up. And I remember, I forget which episode it's in. We may have talked about it, but I love it when she takes her purse. She takes Kathleen's purse by accident, right? Oh my God. I love that. I love that whole storyline, but they are so accepting of everybody because no one's perfect. And I love, and like, I don't know.
When Ruby was you'll see later in I think it's all the way in season 6, but Christian comes home with a fiance, and Rose is talking to her, and she's saying, well, my past, blah, blah, blah. And Rose says the classic line, we don't judge in this family. And that's exactly the truth. They don't judge as long as you're not trying to hurt any member of the family or scam any member of the family. That's it. Once you're in as a Doyle, whether you're Des or Leslie or whoever, you're in. That's it.
You're in. And they do think of Leslie as a family member. And towards the end of this season, Rose gets ticked off at her. Like she gives her the up and down look, which we could talk about in a minute. So we've got Con Steal Love, and we've got that character Annabelle who comes back. And now we've got Jake who, for whatever reason, I love when he goes, I need a girlfriend. Then she's there, and he admits or says, who's he say to? Does he say it to Des, or is he saying it to Walter? Where there's something about her that draws him in.
Talking about who now? I'm sorry, I missed a beat.
Annabelle. Jake talks about Annabelle and says she draws him in.
Which one was Annabelle?
She's the one with the blue eyes who married the old man who was he found.
Oh, the amnesiac. Let's see if
Yeah,
you had said amnesiac, I would have known who you
but
meant.
in this episode, she's not. She's a con, even though she with the violin, even though she tries to tell him she's a PI. So he's like, right. So Des checks her out and says she's not a PI. And he's on to her, but he says, I think it's Des, he can't, is it those of you that are here, you could correct me, let me know. He says that he's just so drawn into her. Now, when he figures out what's going on, we still don't realize until that very end where she's like, oh, Jake, and they're talking and they're in his office and he's got the violin and you think he's going to go for it. And she says all the stuff she does and he's like, And in comes Leslie. But I love it when he got hauled into the precinct talking and Leslie hates her. Leslie's like, your girlfriend. He's like, oh, I see that you're jealous, and she doesn't want to have anything of it. And it brought her pure joy when she arrested her.
Uh-huh.
So he says to her, or says they're drinking their scotch or whatever there it is. And he goes, you're drinking on the job now? She goes, oh no, I let Hood do all the paperwork. That's when she says, I'm really sorry that I've been crooked, that the way they say it. And they're looking at each other. And that's when Jake's eyes are all like, he's like, oh my God, I love you. What? Like he doesn't say it, but you can see it in his eyes and they're getting so close. And that they had every intention of kissing. And who jumps in and comes back? The brother.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, okay, he's back and I'm kind of knowing why. So I forget how many episodes it took for two different things to happen. Kathleen, little by little, has that storyline where the guy's, I want my money for like 5 episodes. That annoyed me.
And am I Tenny's father? Yeah,
and I want the mother. I want not the mother. I want the money. And then poor Tinny, she's thinking that might be her dad. Remember, she tries to do the DNA test and all that. But at the very end, when they tie all the storylines together, they're playing that music, this beautiful song, and you see her showing her who her real father is.
Yep.
And what's a shocker. And then you see what goes down with Des. And wait, the Doyles are all getting arrested. That's in the next episode. But they keep weaving in also little by little the storyline with Mal. You see it in like 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah, his partner and that whole intrigue.
Yes. And then I knew where that was going. But in the end, they all get arrested except Jake. He doesn't. He gets out of it. And she says, you got that lucky whatever up your arse or something. And he has to go. But then that's when we see Des get shot. But
can you imagine seeing that as the season finale and the folks had to wait for a few months before?
And also finding out at the same time who's Tinny's real dad.
Yeah.
So what happens is she's arresting. That's when before all the arresting happens, Leslie barges into his bedroom when he's asleep with all the police. He's like, get out.
And was all that necessary, really?
Wow.
Come on.
And then what she does to Rose, and Rose, that's when Rose talks about family. She goes, all you Doyles, because Kathleen's there. So is the brother. They're all there. And she goes, all you Doyles are going to try to handle this yourself. And I love when she looks her up and down, like more or less, yeah, okay, get it. Like she's mad. Rose tells her off because she's supposed to be part of the family too. And she knows it.
Right.
And then I love how that all weaves together. But there's one line that cracks me up the most is when Tinny looks at when Leslie's accusing them all of going to be doing things they shouldn't, right? And Rose and Tinny are standing right next to each other. And she goes, we're not criminals, Tinny says. And she goes, listen up, or okay, Jake Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jr. Oh my gosh. So they took and weaved the Kathleen story, and then they weave in the Mouse story with all these other stories, and it all comes to this one killer of a cliffhanger season ending. I know. Yeah. I thought it was great.
The only flaw was at the very end when Jake realized Des was shot. He kind of took his gun and did this. And I always wondered, did that chick, did she boogie on out or did she get arrested? Because he took his focus off of her. But I mean, I guess we're to assume that she got arrested.
Oh, I thought she escaped.
Oh, yeah. I guess she could have, because he totally lost his focus on her when he found out the death. And I loved him. I loved Worried Jake. I really like it. And he went into the emergency room with them, and Des actually flatlined. And then you see Leslie pulling him out. And oh man, that was a good episode.
There's a phone call, and that's when Leslie's like, you see her reaction, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And that's when the next thing we see is who did get shot, and it was Des.
You know what? I don't think she escaped now that I think about it, because in that same, at the very end, as they're doing the music and showing the different
Yeah.
scenes, they showed Mal and Rose leaving. So she must have got caught. So they knew that those two were innocent, and they were released.
Okay. I'll have to revisit that. Anybody that's here, you could let us know. So in season 3, does anyone have a favorite or someone that stands out or something that you love as much as we do? And while we're asking that question and you're sharing with us, we decide, well, actually, Kathy suggested, and I love the idea, that soon we're going to do like the strong women of the show, and we're going to have them little by little on. That's coming up, right? And I think if you were here last week and I almost died because I aspirated my food,
You have to go check out the recording of that one. It was fabulous.
if you haven't seen it,
I mean, she complained because the podcast went long. It's like, well, if you hadn't been dying through most of it, we could have been a little more efficient with time.
Oh my God. Jan's saying she thinks she was arrested. Okay. All right. I have to check back, but I think, well, I don't know what week it is. It's coming up soon before September's over that we're going to have the people who own the Duke.
The real owners of the Duke of Duckworth.
Yeah, the Duke of Duckworth. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we talked fast through this one. It was just so good and exciting. And they all like went together, and I loved that the family was all together, all of them.
There is a story. I don't know if we shared it on here, but one of the owners of the Duke, I keep wanting to say either the Dukes of Hazzard or the Duke of Earl, so I've got to remind myself. But one of the owners of the Duke of Duckworth said that tourists used to come in looking for any kind of artifacts about Republic of Doyle. So one of them came in and said, "Do you have any merchandise, Republic of Doyle merchandise?" And the owner told her, "Well, we just sold the last lock of Alan Honko's hair. But it's gonna take a few months for him to grow it back out. So sorry about that." I just thought that was hysterical that this poor person thought they actually sold locks of his hair.
I love it so much. Lois said she once asked Alan if he based his female characters on women in his life, and he did.
Did he ever mention who?
What?
I wonder if he mentioned which women in his life he based it on.
Now, Lois, I want you to tell us how you were able to ask him this question. I want to hear about it. Let me hear about it.
Oh, thanks, Christine. I'll have to remember to do that.
You need to have the background on. Okay. I'll try to do the same.
No.
Okay.
I get the attention.
Kathy's like, no. I'm like, okay, I won't.
I would give anything if there was a way to order some food from there. It is. When I go there, I'm going to scroll on in and order some food.
Yes. I'm waiting for Lois to explain how she asked Alan about the female characters in his life and that he did. Okay. She might be typing away. Here's Jan. What Jan say? You mentioned the end of the season being a cliffhanger, and I thought, thank goodness I didn't have to wait for a whole season to see what happened. That's what Kathy was saying, right?
Yeah, that was my point. I would have killed me waiting that long. That and Leslie being something happens to Leslie at the end of one season, and then you have to wait till the next few months until you find out what happened. Oh my word.
Oh my God.
Lois said, "Oh my goodness. Lois, you've been holding out on us."
I know. I don't know. I have such a like fangirl crush. I don't know if I would have words. That's why I have not asked for Alan to be on yet, because I don't want to embarrass myself. He's a lot to talk about. He was just on a podcast. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say this. There's a podcast, I won't say who, that annoys me. The man annoys me because he goes and he asks these really long questions. And then when people give him these beautiful answers, he goes, right, right, right. And then he goes on to the next. I'm like, what is that? Like, I want engagement. So anyway, Alan was on recently, and I'm like, why is he has so much going on. He has to come on and talk to us. Okay, look at my avatar. Okay, Lois, we will. And
I hope that's not Alan next to you, because that might result in
avatar.
there might be repercussions.
I can't see. Oh, yes, I see Lois. Nice. What's this? Oh, Uber Eats might be a little expensive,
but worth it.
It'll come in dry ice, and probably the dish costs, let's say the dish costs $20. It's something delicious, right? It probably costs like $250 at least to ship it here.
But I'm pretty certain that cod tongue travels well.
Oh, dear God. No. Lois says it is. Lois. It is Alan. They're all saying it's Alan. It's Alan. Mary's saying it's so true. It's so true. All right. So the next time that we get together, I think we will have a guest. And then when we have a guest, we don't really go and talk about anything. But so we'll eventually be getting into season 4.
We may have to take that one into 3 or 4 episodes.
Yes, that's going to take us a while because there's so much, and we are hoping to have guests in between all of that. Plus, we definitely have our strong women coming on. So you'll just have to, stay tuned. If there's something you like or you want to see or whatever, just let us know. We appreciate you indulging us and listening while we talk. I'm going to have to find those ladies that did the blog.
Yeah, I'll do a little searching for them.
And Chris, we are too. We're watching 4 now also. Is there anyone that's here that wanted to jump on with us one day and talk with us? That would be cool. You could come hop on with us. Let us know. Send us a message. Say, I'll do it. I'd like it. And you can come on.
You'll have to sign a non-disclosure, but we'd be happy to have you.
Yes, you do. You do. You tried to say that with a straight face, but then I laughed. So we lost it.
Darn it.
That's okay. All right. So I know there's a little time difference. I'm curious to see if anybody's going to say they would like to. We'll get to see it. All right, Doilies.
Well, I think Lois should do us and tell us all about
Lois
experience knowing Alan, and
you know what?
If you have to make stuff up, we still want to hear it.
You know what, Lois? Sometimes people are shy and they don't want to. You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to, but we'll be able to hear you, so you could definitely join. We would love it. She's saying that the fish and chips are the best.
Well, fish and chips are the best no matter what country you're in, but I bet they're really good there because they do all the additions to it.
It is so good. And the savory. Did you get some savory? Did you order?
No, I haven't been to the store since I asked you. I found it my favorite place to get spices because they make them up right on site, but they only have the leaves. So I'm going to have to go to the regular grocery store, I think, to get the ground.
Well, you could get it from Amazon.
Oh.
And it was very inexpensive. That's how I did it. Yes. Okay. Christina, look, she's saying maybe. And Christina's like, yes, Lois, come on. Lois.
Now I'm thinking about Stewie and whatever that family is with Lois.
That show's bad.
I know it is.
The first time I never watched it. Not that we should be talking about it, but I was off doing something else and I heard it and I was like, oh my gosh. For those of you that watch on Acorn TV, Kathy, what is it? Episodes, not all of the episodes, 1 through what is no longer going to be on there at the end of September. Which
I don't recall seeing a disclaimer about some of them gone. It just said
it was some.
Did it say, then I don't know.
1 to 4 or something, and I think
seasons or episodes.
Seasons.
And what's the point?
5 and 6 are, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I know on the egg, I'll have to ask because I've heard people talking back and forth about it.
Mm.
And I have to say that some people surprise me because, oh, I don't like that show. I couldn't get through it. And I don't understand. They're in love with some other shows, and the writing, I'm sorry, I watched them all too, and the writing's not that good. I can guess exactly what's going to happen. There's no chemistry. Some of it's like really dry and boring. And I'm thinking, how could you not appreciate this writing and all the little pieces that go with it? Everybody that I've ever recommended to watch it personally has said to me, oh, I had to start again. I have not met anybody. My father, we went out to dinner the other day, and he's like, I think I'm going to start watching all over again.
Have you ever noticed how many nods they give to American movies and
Yes.
TV shows like Two Jakes and a Baby, obviously, Three
Yes.
Men and a Baby, and
Yes.
One Angry Jake, or
Yes.
Two Angry Jakes. That was
Well, instead of LA Confidential, it's High School Confidential.
Confidential.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
What's this? Mary saying, check the Up TV Christmas schedule released this week. Linda Boyd is going to
Oh,
be in one of them. Yes, yes. Oh, Linda, I want to have her on. I know. And Lois is saying Republic of Doyle is the best. I'm going through it for the 8th time, Mary said. I know. I know. Oh, they're mentioning, I cannot mention if I want to put this on the Acorn, and I haven't yet, and I don't know if I will, but I might, but I cannot mention any other channels. Maybe I just won't even bother to put it on then. But
I
people
mean,
are saying, yeah, other things that you can watch it on. And this is true, you can, but I'm just saying that on Acorn, sorry, on Acorn TV, it's going off, but it might come back. Okay. And Kathy,
I,
you
I
purchased.
was about to say I'm not taking any chances. I was going to, on the channel I watched it on, it started taking select episodes and saying you had to buy them. You have to go to Acorn and do a
Mhm.
free trial and maybe buy it. And so, like just every other episode or something. So I'm like, okay, that's on the way out. And I just said on other streaming services, it may be on the way out as well. So I'm just going to buy it. So I went to another site where they have the seasons on sale, and they seemed perfectly reasonable prices to me. And so I bought each of the 6 seasons, and now I'm happy, except now there's no commercials, and I can't go take a bio break or go fix a snap. I have to put it on pause and get up and go do what I need to do. The commercials do serve a function.
I know. Lois is saying I got the DVDs a long time ago. I can't, they're not DVDs that you have though, right? You
No, I've got the streaming seasons.
yes.
I couldn't find the DVDs available. So, and I'd love to have them because I is there, Lois, is there content on there like deleted scenes or bloopers or
Ah,
anything like that on that DVD set?
that would be cool. That would be so cool to know. Well, it is our goal to have the immediate well, not the Doyle family on, all of them. That is our goal. And
Not
of
at one
course,
time. That may be a bit ambitious.
not at one time. But and then it is our goal, of course, to have all the others around it. She said no. That
Oh,
I don't.
then I'm just as well with mine, I guess.
Okay. But there are things.
Sorry. This is how lazy I am, folks. I'd rather have the streaming because I just, do the remote control and pick the episode as opposed to actually getting up, walking over to the DVD player, opening it up, putting the disc in, and then getting up later to change it. It's
I don't
terrible.
even have a DVD player. So no, I don't even have one. I wouldn't be able to watch it.
Yeah.
You know what, Chris, they are hilarious. And if you go on YouTube, you can find some bloopers. There's not a lot.
I've
And
only seen season 5.
I was just gonna say, I don't think it's all the seasons, and it's you'll see some stuff. I think I even have that. If you go onto my channel, I have a Republic of Doyle playlist, and all the stuff from Stephanie Beaumont is in there, and then a couple other things too besides these videos. Check them out, watch them. Yes, yes, yes. All right. It is time for us to say good night, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great time, folks. And Lois, really consider that. Reach
Yeah.
out to us if you change your mind and you decide
Yes.
you want to hop on.
Lois, you can message me. I don't know if you know how to reach me, but I'm going to give you my email. Everyone has it, so I don't mind putting it on here. Dorenzis Roxanne, except I don't know how to spell my own name. I had children today that know how to spell their last name. In fifth grade, Dorenzis Roxanne at gmail.com. Contact me, Lois. Give me a call. No, email me. Today, one of my kids had to use a landline phone, and I had to teach him. I wouldn't touch it. I had to talk him through it. He struggled, and then one of the little boys like, "We have a hotel. I can help you." He helped him. When he was done, the kids cheered, "Yay! On how to use a landline phone."
You know, Jake Doyle has the same ringtone as my cell phone. So
Oh,
whenever I leave the room, it's very confusing because I can't tell you how many times I've run back there to grab my phone and it was actually Jake's phone that was ringing.
oh, Rona, if you're still here, did you get your prize? I haven't given out a prize in a while. I know Jan won a prize and she shared it with someone. And Rona, I wasn't sure if you've gotten yours yet. I did mail it. I don't know if she heard me. Thanks. You all have a good weekend too.
Bye bye.
Bye. Good
Oh,
night.
stop being the queen.
Okay.